So what's the point in having all this grace? Having all this favor? But see, the issue is that you can have the best equipment, but if you don't know how to run it, see, it used to be my custom to where, like, I went out and got a GPS system. And I just took the box, and now I read instructions and then try to operate. Whereas before, I just started fiddling with the thing and figure it out. And ultimately, what ends up happening? You go back to the instructions. And hopefully, I don't do any damage while I'm trying to figure it out on my own. But ultimately, I find myself back with the instructions manual. And what I've done is I've wasted a whole bunch of time. A lot of Christians only pick up the Bible when they done messed something up. Now they want to go to the instructions and say, oh man, I shouldn't have done that. Well, if you'd have read this first, you would have known you shouldn't have done that. Would have saved you some time, some headaches, and you wouldn't have to go back and undo some stuff. Let me tell you something. It is more difficult to undo stuff than it is to not do stuff. You see. It's easier to keep. I was reading. I do a lot of reading, and this 80-year-old woman went outside to get some firewood, came back in, didn't lock the door. She looked up, and there was a nude man in her house. It's a real story. And this man was walking, following her, and then he pushed her down. You know, he's about to do something to this 80-year-old woman. And she remembered reading somewhere about this woman who was in a similar situation. And what that woman did is she grabbed the assailant in the crotch. And she reached back and grabbed what she can grab. And yanked it. And brother man found himself out. She damaged the goods. Right? And she locked the door. And they interviewed her on TV. And one of the things she said, she said, keep your door locked. You know, if I had simply locked the door, I never would have found myself in that situation. That's a life lesson. That's wisdom. You see. And so the Father is giving us, He's given us this manual on how to keep the door locked, how to keep certain stuff out. Because once pornography hit those eyes, the memory of it is there. Once you look at something you shouldn't have looked at, the memory is there. Once you open yourself up to something you shouldn't have opened yourself up to, it's there. And now the memory of that which you shouldn't have done is drowning out. It just gets louder and louder, and now you can't even hear God's voice, and then you got your own moaning and groaning. It's, oh, how could I do this? And all the time God is saying, hey, oh God, hey, oh God, hey. You got to slap you. Hold it. Get yourself together. Shake out of it. You messed up? Shake it off. What'd you learn? God, I shouldn't have done that. All right, come on. Don't do it no more. Go and sin no more. And how often folks find themselves right back in there? God says, stop. Listen, my way is the best way. Haven't you figured that out by now? I'm almost done. So where do we begin? I know you was waiting on this. Where do you begin to live the abundant life? First, we acknowledge that everything belongs to Yahweh. Psalms 24:1. The earth is Yahweh's, with all that is in it, the world and those who live there. Eve forgot this point and decided to cross boundaries that she was not authorized to cross. You can only operate within the realm of authority Yahweh has given you. Yahweh has given us authority over all things within the heavens and the earth, but He has not given us power over other people. You cannot control other people. You got to get this in your heart. You can't control other people. You can't. But they're doing stuff I don't like. Tell them. Okay, I told them. Okay. Now back up. Now, are you doing things they don't like? Hello? Because remember, the law of sowing and reaping is always in effect. You reap what you sow. If you don't want people to do things you don't like, stop doing things they don't like. When Eve was deceived in the garden, Adam did not stop her because Yahweh had not given Adam authority over Eve. Now, this just came to me this morning. I said, because I've heard the messages, I've heard the sermon, Adam should have told his wife not. God told Adam and Eve specifically what they could rule over, and he never gave them authority to rule over each other. So Eve could do whatever she wanted to do. That's why Adam stood there helpless. Adam didn't know what to do. God hadn't told him. So she took it and gave him some, and he took it from her and ate it. Why? Because they were cold. He wasn't her ruler. They were equal to one another. And that's what happens when you get born again. But God said, let the man rule over the wife. Yeah, that was the curse. But when you are restored, now he has placed order in a house, but he has not put you in control of another person. All you can do is tell them. That's all you can do. You can't make them do it. You can't beat it into them. You can only instruct. And if they refuse to follow the instruction, just stand back some. Let God deal with them. Eve lost her authority when she did that which she was forbidden to do. Notice, God dealt with the serpent. God dealt with Eve. God dealt with Adam. What did he say? Because you listened to her. He didn't say because you didn't tell her or because you didn't stop her, but because you listened to her. Didn't I tell you guys? And so if I told you what to do, why are you listening to her telling you to do something different than what I told you to do? That's why Adam got judged. Eve had to deal with her own judgment. And Adam had to deal with the fact that he listened to his wife instead of listening to God. Second, so first, what was first? Acknowledge that God is the owner of everything. Second, you must believe it is Yahweh's will for you to prosper and be healthy, wealthy, and wise. If you don't believe this, I'm talking to the wrong crowd. Because nothing I say is going to matter. You have to believe that it is the will of God for you to be wealthy. You have to believe it's the will of God for you to prosper, to be healthy. Because if you don't believe it's God's will for you to be healthy, you will allow sickness. If you don't believe it's God's will for you to be wealthy, you will allow poverty. If you don't believe it's Yahweh's will for you to be wise, you will allow stupidity. Joshua 1:8, yes, keep this book of the Torah on your lips and meditate on it day and night so that you will take care to act according to everything written in it. So are you telling me that within the Word of God, Yahweh designed within His Word for Joshua and all of his people to be prosperous and successful? Yep. Deuteronomy 8:18. No, you ought to remember, Adonai your God, because it is He who is giving you the power to get